You're listening to the Tip In Maple Leafs podcast with your hosts, Chad and Dale. Hey everybody, welcome to the Tip In Maple Leafs podcast. I'm Chad.
I'm Dale.
Episode 285, and we weren't planning on doing an episode, but at 4 o'clock today, the Toronto Maple Leafs announced that Brendan Shanahan will not be back as president and alternative governor, whatever the hell that is. So he is gone.
The Shanahan plan is over in Toronto. No surprise to me. You?
No, not at all.
Were we talking when we do the podcast 2 days ago? I think were we talking at that time that he was granted permission to talk to the Islanders, or have they not announced that yet?
No, that came out the day after we posted the podcast.
So once you heard that, were you not like, okay, like just let him go right now? Like, what are you doing? Gonna circle back after that? Unlikely, right?
Yeah. If you want someone, you're not going to give them permission to talk to another team.
No.
So the writing was on the wall. We knew after they lost Game 7 that was the end of Brendan Shanahan. Everybody knew it, but now it's official.
Yeah. I mean, probably, now it's official. Probably we could have seen, this could have happened a few off seasons ago. Like, he's lucky. So total 11 years for Shanny in Toronto. And obviously the first two, like, rebuilding years, whatever, they get Nylander, they get Marner, they get the first overall pick, they get Matthews, whatever, some ups and downs along the way. But overall, Chad, like, I've got a few things of what I think the worst things are. Like, Kipper and Bourne were doing a thing the other day. So, like, I kind of stole a couple things from them. But if we were doing a list of, like, why are we here today? Like, how did we get here? There's some pretty obvious fails along the way, but I don't know. Do you want to just give, like, your overall thoughts on Shanny's time here, and, like, maybe some good, maybe some bad, but I've got a couple bullet points specifically bad.
Yeah, I know. I listened to the episode that you're referring to, so I've probably heard all the points that you're.
But we can give our own thoughts on it.
For sure. I'll just give my overall over the 11 years. I thought when Shanahan came in, the team was a mess. And his first few years here, he did a really great job of fixing it up, making it a place that people want to play.
First big play he made?
What did he do for his first big play?
Oh, was it not the Babcock? Who came first? Lou or Babs? It was
Lou.
Babs,
he got Lou first.
Okay.
But I'm not just talking about that. I mean, just the culture.
No, I know.
He changed the culture of the team.
I know. Started building statues and retiring jerseys. And
he made peace with, like, Dave Keon and older Leafs. He drafted, like, a really good young team that we were all crazy about.
Oh.
Because we thought this is going to be amazing. Just the whole losing mentality from, like, the Dion Phaneuf, Phil Kessel days.
Yeah.
He got rid of all that. He changed it. But in the last few years, he tied himself so hard to the core of this team that eventually there was nothing you could do.
No.
It just fell apart on him.
He played every card that he was able to play. Lou Lamoriello in as general manager, Mike Babcock in as general manager. First GM hired, first coach hired. They let Lou go. Let Babcock go. In comes Kyle Dubas. In comes Sheldon Keefe. They go. Third time's the charm. In comes Tree Living. In comes Berube. No more chances. No more chances.
No, 11 years is a long time.
Without the success that they should have had with the pieces they had in place, and, like, we're talking, they never got out of the second round. The farthest this team ever got was
this year.
One win away from the Eastern Conference Final, and that was this year. The first round exits after first round exits, dude, like that, like, you'd think that after one of those, and I specifically go back to the Montreal thing, because that was, like, really, I mean, there's a lot of
things should have changed after Montreal.
Really,
even the year before in the bubble in Columbus, you can give them a pass because it was the bubble and it was strange. But
Yeah.
losing to Montreal in 2021, that was the fact that they brought the whole band back together is crazy. For 4 more years after that.
Insane, man. Insane. And then somewhere along the way, like Keith Pelley gets hired, not by Brendan Shanahan, obviously, he had nothing to do with, well, maybe he did have input there, but probably like that was just a Rodgers and a Bell move, right? I wasn't aware of this. I thought the sale had fully gone through already, that Rodgers complete ownership. I guess that's not the case. It's on the verge of happening.
Yes.
I guess at the board meeting today, there were still people from Bell there, people from Rodgers, Larry Tenenbaum.
Yeah, it's not official, but it's in the works.
Do you know when it becomes official? I don't. I'm just curious.
I don't know, but it has to be soon.
Has to be
because
soon.
like I think they've already purchased the shares, or they've accepted the offer to sell the shares.
Yeah.
So once that transaction's complete, they're out. Bell's out.
Yeah.
And then Larry Tannenbaum will probably get rid of his.
Well, I think he's already sold off the majority of his shares
to Rodgers. So you're gonna have one owner. It'll just be Rodgers. It'd be like the Blue Jays.
Yeah. Well, I mean, God, look what they've done there. Like, look what they've done to the Jays.
Let's not get into that.
Oh my God. Yeah, hopefully better things in store for the Leafs going forward under Rodgers. But I mean, does Rodgers? I hope it's somebody different. Like, I hope they do put someone in place that's specifically running the Leafs, and it's not just like, okay, here's the board of Rodgers, and they're running the Leafs, and they're running the Raptors, and they're running the Jays. I mean, you look what's happened you know what I mean? It could be the same players at play that are running all the franchises.
Yeah, no, I would assume that they would have someone in charge of hockey operations, someone in charge of like the soccer team, someone in charge of the Raptors, all that.
So Keith Pelley is supposed to speak tomorrow. I have not heard yet whether Tree Living will be with him, or if Tree Living is going to, like, are they going to roll out Pelley tomorrow and then Tree on Saturday? Or have you heard any word of, like, are they going to be together?
No, it's so confusing. It's so, they're being so, like, instead of just saying tomorrow at 2:00, management's going to talk, everyone's going to be there. Like, the fact that everything, hasn't it just been weird? Like, announcing that Brendan Shanahan has like been given the green light to talk to the Islanders before you make the announcement that you're not renewing his contract. Yep. And now it's like Keith Pelley's going to talk. People are wondering about, I've heard Tree Living, the sources say his job's safe.
That's what they're, I was just watching a bit of Overdrive.
Why not announce that he'll be there with them?
Yeah. And
why make it, I don't know, in a market like Toronto, why give away crumbs for people to start to nibble on when it comes to this shit?
So do you think it will be separate days, or do you think they'll both be there tomorrow together?
They should both just be there tomorrow. Like, they don't have to sit at the podium together, but get it over with in one day. Like, you could have Tree Living do his thing, and then Keith Pelley could come out and do his thing.
That should be interesting. And they still might do that. Like, we don't know for sure. So we'll see. Like, Tree's got to speak eventually here, whether it's tomorrow or the next day. Like, in the next coming days, before the end of the weekend, there's got to be a bow tied on this whole thing and just move forward.
It's weird it's taking this long.
Well, the board didn't meet until today, Thursday, when we're doing this, right? Earlier this afternoon or this morning, whatever, right? So I get taking some time, whatever. Like, you don't have to make decisions like the next day or whatever, but you know, we're approaching a week here. Well, it'll be a week on Sunday. So by Sunday, it's got to be okay. Pelley has spoken, Tree Living has spoken, and whatever. But anyway, so I want to ask you this. Do you think, not tomorrow, not in the next couple days or whatever, but do you think that they, with the ownership changing hands completely to Rodgers coming up here shortly, do you think that they will hire a new president, or are we just going to be looking at that job is taken away, or they give Tree Living extra duties and he becomes the GM and president of hockey ops and he just reports directly to Pelley, or do they hire a new president? What do you think?
I don't know. I would assume that if I'm taking anything from the way they've run the Blue Jays, that they will have a guy like Tree Living will be the GM, and then they'll have like a Mark Shapiro, like a guy who's in charge of
love that
the entire operation. Well, that's kind of what Shanahan was.
Yeah, I know.
But maybe they look at the disaster of their own Blue Jays and be like, oh, we're not doing that again.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe instead of putting a hockey person in, like you put a business person in.
What would you? Well, that's what Pelle is it not? Kind of.
Yeah, but just to run the hockey side.
What is Pelle's job title? Do you know specifically?
I can look up what it is exactly.
Like, is he just like the chair or something or whatever? I don't know. Anyway, as you're looking that up, we'll get into some of like
he's the president and CEO of Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. So he's the president of everything.
Okay. And Shanny was just the president of hockey ops for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
And the alternative governor.
Okay. So do you need a middleman there? Like, can it not just be Tree reporting to Pelle and that's it?
Well, like any good company has people in charge of specific things. Like one guy running everything it's not a good look. So you usually have someone you usually have a president of your hockey operations. You know, like if you look at a big company, you would have the vice president of finance, the vice president of human resources, the vice president of marketing. And then above that is the CEO of the entire company. It's that's how I look how it should be run. So you have the president of basketball operations, president of hockey operations, whether it's just Tree Living doing both, or whether you put someone in there, whether you get a hockey guy or a business guy.
Well, that's what I was. Would it not have to be a hockey guy? You want some dude coming in who who's not a hockey guy running being the president of the Leafs?
Well, like normally a president's job is not really to make hockey decisions. That's the general manager's job. The president of hockey operations is to make sure like the operations of the hockey team is successful and makes money, basically, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you put someone in there who because maybe that was a problem with Shanahan. Like maybe a lot of the trades and signings that could have happened did not happen because of the fact that he thought he knew more about hockey than his general managers. If you have a business guy, you just have to convince him why it's a good move for the team.
Okay, fair.
I don't know.
Yeah, it should be.
There's pros and cons, but there's also a pro to having a good hockey mind running your hockey operation.
Anybody jump off the page to you as like if they were going to hire another hockey guy, whether he's employed with another franchise right now or currently not employed, anybody jump off the page is like
100%.
Who?
Well, I think he works for the San Jose Sharks.
Mike Ricci?
Mike Ricci. Do you not think?
I didn't think you were going to say that.
Yeah, Mike Ricci.
I love that.
We just, for anyone who doesn't know, we're just huge Mike Ricci fans from when we were kids.
He hasn't cut his hair since 1995, right?
So, and I mean, he played for the Peterborough Petes, and he was our favorite player by far. We were just kids, like young kids when he played. So if Mike Ricci took over, I'd be happy with that.
Look at these reach dogs.
Look at these reach dogs.
He showed up for an old softball tourney in Peterborough, Ontario, like celebrity whatever softball tournament, just wearing duct tape flip-flops, folks.
Yep.
and he called them reach dogs.
Or did we call them reach dogs?
No, he did.
Did he? And now for the rest of my life, I still to this day call flip-flops reach dogs.
Oh,
like I'll be like, has anyone seen my reach dogs?
Okay, so
anyway, that's my pick.
Anybody else come to mind? Like, no way. Like, it's going to be a Wendell Clark or Doug Gilmour. Like, they're not bringing in a former Leaf, right?
No, Roberts, I think that would.
Sundin.
No, I think it's too. Like, I liked Shanahan because he had experience working for the NHL. He never played for the Toronto Maple Leafs, but he was a big name. I think if you brought in someone if you brought in someone with no experience that was like a big name for the Leafs, I think that's more of it's more of a puppet job. I would rather them bring in someone who knows what they're doing, who's going to make a difference and run this operation successful. Not just someone who smiles for the camera and is like, oh, okay. I'm the president.
So then I would say that would eliminate Ricci. Because we're talking about, well, I know that's crazy to say. I know that's crazy to say, but then are we not talking like an experienced guy, been there, done that, not like
that's what I mean.
Not first. It would be Ricci's first time doing that. Yeah. Like he's
like, what if you found a guy, and I don't know anyone that's available like this, but someone who's been a president of hockey operations who's won some Stanley Cups, and you bring him in.
I heard someone talk earlier about, and this was before they officially had parted ways with Shanahan. I heard someone saying on some radio or something I was watching on YouTube earlier about poaching somebody that is currently employed with another team, like a Doug Armstrong in St. Louis.
But you have to get permission.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm just using this one example.
Yeah.
Doug Armstrong is stepping down after next season and giving the reins to Alex Steen. Alex Steen, shout out, former Toronto Maple Leaf.
Yeah.
But
okay.
So Armstrong is walking away. I think he's
maybe you wait it out.
Maybe you wait it out. I think he's staying on in some type of role after next season for the Blues, but might be appealing to be like, yeah, I'll go to the Leafs and be the president and run the show there. So,
although you could make the argument that the best decision would be to pick someone internally, because one of the biggest mistakes of this team has been that the people have come in and they want to wait and see. Like the GM comes in, he's like, "Oh, we're gonna keep Keefe around. I just want to see what he does." It'd be nice to have someone who's already seen it and can start making changes immediately.
Well, there's only a hand. So we're talking Pridham, we're talking Haley Wickenheiser, we're talking, the list is short. Shane Doan, the list is short.
Or
list is short.
Tree Living just does double duty.
Or Tree. Like,
yeah, like if you trust him with that, but
you could count on
someone who's seen it.
You could count on one hand. What about Haley Wickenheiser? Outside chance? What do you think?
No, I don't think she would want it.
Tough.
Like, you got to want that job.
She's a smart lady, been there, done that. Like, at every level. Like,
I wouldn't leave any stone unturned. Like, I would go through the NHL, I'd go internally, find the best person for the job, and if they're even going to go that route.
They're even going. So we'll know more after Pelly speaks, and then we'll see if Tree Living's with him or not, whatever. We'll be back. Maybe not tomorrow. If it's just Pelly, we probably won't do another one. I want to wait and see what Tree has to say here. So we'll see. We'll be back after Tree Living speaks anyway. But I want to get into a couple things quick before we go. Yeah. So
Shanahan's tenure.
Yeah, the tenure. What do you think? I mean, I'll throw out some things. Some massive ones that were major fails, like looking back in retrospect, that maybe they shouldn't have done this and they should have did this instead. Obviously, I'm going to look right at Kipper was talking about this. Brendan Shanahan made the decision to go with the young whiz kid, Kyle Dubas, when he could have went with Mark Hunter. Or was it Dale or Mark? It was Mark. It was Mark. So
or he could have just continued on with Lou Lamoriello for a couple more years. He could have the thing that I know what you're going to say about that, but the thing that I hated about that was he let Dubas negotiate with the kids. At that time, they were kids.
I'm getting to that. Lou would have done a better job negotiating the contracts, but Lou went to the island and they didn't have any success either.
But you just keep him here to do the negotiations because he's one of the hardest negotiators in NHL history.
I hear.
I know he's lost a lot of negotiations. Like he's signed some bad contracts, but I just think at that time, when you had those superstars coming in, Lamoriello or Mark Hunter might have done a better job.
Well, here's what it was, how I saw it, or how I remember it anyways, is that like the Colorado Avalanche came knocking for Kyle Dubas. Do you remember that?
Yeah, they did. They asked to speak to him.
Yes. So where that was heading. And Shanny was like, he didn't even give them permission. So so they were moving on from Lou. That was just going to happen. It was like either Dubas is staying and he's going to be our GM, or he's going to Colorado and that's just going to be the end of that. And then they would have went, but they ultimately Shanahan chose Kyle Dubas over Mark Hunter. Retrospect, I think gigantic mistake. Dubas did some good things and he did some horrendous things, which I'm about to get to here. But would we be where we are right now if they would have hired Mark Hunter instead of Kyle Dubas? I don't think so.
No. Total different hockey mind. It would have been a total different team. Like, I think, I mean, hindsight's 2020, so it's hard to say. But I think guys like, Kadri and Hyman,
okay,
I think they would have been priorities under Mark Hunter, where they weren't under Dubas. But then was it Shanahan too?
Well, that's why I'm putting this on the list of like Shanahan is at fault for these things. So he went with Dubas over Hunter, and then the Kadri trade. Nazem Kadri, I know he just took 2 back-to-back suspensions in the first round of the playoffs, but the guy had some fucking fight in him, right? He had some fight in him. Centerman, of course. The Tavares thing, I think, also came into play with like Naz going out the door, but Nazem Kadri for Tyson Barrie, and was it straight up? Like, was that the trade straight up? There might have been something else included, but
I can't remember.
That was
it wasn't straight up.
Okay, well, it was Barrie and something of Kerfoot.
That's how we got Kerfoot?
That's the trade right there. Nazem Kadri for Tyson Barrie and Alex Kerfoot. Absolute disaster. Barrie doesn't even play in the league anymore. Kerfoot plays for Utah, third line role, whatever. Like, yeah, can chip in as an okay guy. He's never going to lead you anywhere. Nazem Kadri went on to be a huge part of a contributing role when the Colorado Avalanche won their Stanley Cup. Right. So
they got Tyson Barrie, Alex Kerfoot, and a 6th round pick.
I'm sure the 6th round pick turned into nothing. I'm sure, but
and they traded Kadri, Calle Rosen, and a 3rd round pick.
Horrendous trade. Like, just
a bad trade.
Absolutely, like, would take as far as worst trades during the Shanny tenure. I think that's right up there. It's got to be right up there. Also, you said Zach Hyman not being able to find $5.5 million to keep Zach Hyman and letting him walk to the Edmonton Oilers. That is I remember that season, Chad. It was the Canadian division that year. That was Zach's last year, and he was just killing it. We would come on here every night after every fucking game or every time we did a podcast praising Zach Hyman, how incredible he was that season. And we're like, we were dumbfounded because we could see the writing on the wall. Like, you're just going to let this guy walk for nothing. And that's exactly what they did. What a gigantic mistake. Undo just those 2 moves alone. You find the money for fucking Hyman, which they could have easily found. Like, they couldn't find $5.5 million for Zach Hyman. Come on, let's get serious. But the Kadri trade and not finding the money for Hyman and Shanahan letting those 2 things happen, it's as bad as it gets, man. For this organization, as bad as it gets.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at some of the signings that they made after and the money they spent on guys that like never worked out, like they had $5.5 million they could have spent on Zach Hyman
for fun. Dude, yeah. if Hyman and Kadri are still on this team.
They signed Peter Mrazek, Cache.
Oh yeah.
Calle Yarncroc came in after, just a whole bunch of signings like that where they gave $2-3 million to guys for multiple years.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Absolute insanity that Brandon Shanahan would allow that to happen and think that was the right direction.
Ritchie.
Yeah. The list goes on. It's crazy, but I'm going to take it a step farther here. Hyman and Kadri are still on this team with Knies playing the way that I know he got banged up at the end, but whatever. I'm just saying, there's a chance that
I'm saying he banged up. He was still amazing.
I know, but like towards the end or whatever, but like with Knies in the fold now and having kept Kadri, having kept Hyman, there's a chance the Leafs are playing in the Eastern Conference Final right now and not the Florida Panthers because those guys have fucking fight inside them, man. They have fight in them.
Yeah.
The Yarncrocs and the fucking guys half the guys you listed aren't even here anymore.
That's what I mean. They blew all this money over the years that they should have just given to Hyman.
And then, so just brutal moves all around. But the Kadri thing really hurts. The Hyman thing really, really hurts. And then you mentioned it off the top. Basically, I'll let you give your thoughts on this. Like giving the core 4 basically everything they fucking wanted. They babied the 4 of them. Well, we can leave Tavares out of it unless you want to touch on him too, like paying him, bringing him as a free agent. I wanted that to happen. Yeah, like I was in favor of that happening, but like Nylander contract holdout, the Marner thing, the Matthews never signing long term, always wanting to re-up every 3 or 4 or 5 fucking years, but them just being okay with it. And no problem, you guys, whatever you fucking want. And Shanny was on board with all of it. I don't know. Go ahead. You were touching on it earlier. I'd like to just a little more of your thoughts on
that's
just giving the core guys everything they've wanted every time they want it.
Yeah. Just like I said before, it was just bad negotiating. Like you can't do that. And one of the big problems that I see of this is the fact that, like, I wanted them to sign Tavares too, but someone should have seen, like, if you're a good general manager and you know how to build a team, you should have seen that you were signing too many people that are the same player for too much money. You should have seen that, and you should have been like, we need to spend money on other areas. Like, we need gritty wingers. We need some guys who will stand in front of the net. We need power forwards. We need Big D. That's what she said. They didn't, though.
No.
So yeah, and the fact that they gave them everything they wanted, the fact that Nylander sat out till December, and then they caved and they're like, here's your contract, the way they give Matthews. And one of the things that always pissed me off is how they did that dumb shit where they put their number in the money. Like, Mitch was 10.93 because he wore 93 for junior. And Austin's like, whatever, 13.34. I'm just like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I don't know. So yeah, it was just, they failed on that front. Yeah. And Matthews got what he got. His first contract was probably deserving. You overpaid for Mitch Marner. Like, a winger making that much money was crazy.
Absolutely crazy.
Was crazy. So
yeah.
Anyway,
and you know, look, obviously Dubas, a lot to blame there. A lot to blame. They should not have had a rookie.
But Shanahan stamped it.
I was like 100%. Like, a lot. They shouldn't have had a rookie GM making those major contract extensions in the first place. Like you said earlier, whether it would have been Lamoriello or it would have been Hunter, whatever, the deals would not have looked like what they ended up looking like under Kyle Dubas. But yes, on top of it, well, they did decide to go with Dubas, but on top of that, yeah, Shanahan, stamp of approval. Yes. Whatever you want, Willie, approved. Whatever you want, Mitch, approved. Austin, no problem. It's
yeah. And it may have been the case with Lamoriello and Mark Hunter, because as Shanahan's tenure rolled by, did you not kind of get the feeling that it wasn't so much the general managers as it was the president kind of being like, we need these guys, give them what they want?
Yeah. He thought ultimately they would be able to break through. We are at a point now where we have realized they cannot, the four of them. They're all the same fucking player. Each one, like, they're all the same guy. They're just all the same guy. You can't win with four of your top guys being the exact same player.
And all making so much money when you're in a salary cap system.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Anyway, yeah, just thought we'd come on and whatever. I mean, the Shannon plan is over in Toronto. It's finally over. So
it's over.
Talked a little bit about what went wrong and, you know, what could have been potentially.
The Reachy Peachy plan is coming.
You got it, buddy. So yeah, I mean, what could have been, right? If they could have, would have, should have, if some of those moves didn't, if some of those moves didn't get made, where the Leafs could have been. But ultimately, to bow tie the Shanahan 11 years in Toronto, fail, it's got to be a fail, right?
If you don't win, it's a fail.
It's a fail.
It's a fail.
Some good, and like, there were some good things in there that we didn't get into because, well, I mean,
had he walked away after like 3 or 4 years, like after drafting Matthews and Marner and Nylander and signing John Tavares, and he walked away and he's like, I'm going to go do something else, we would talk about Brendan Shanahan as being one of the greatest presidents in Leaf history. Yeah. We'd be like, look what he did. He transformed the team.
Sure.
But he stuck around too long. He believed in the wrong guys. Actually, I don't want to say he believes in the wrong guys. I like when people believe in other people. They let him down. They didn't get it done. Now he's out of the job.
A lot of the fan base, us included, we saw this years ago. We were like, they're not going to win with these guys. They're not going to. So
we thought after Montreal, they were going to clean house, like top to bottom.
Switch something up. They kept Keefe a season too long. They kept Shanny fucking a couple seasons too long, and whatever. We are where we are and whatever, but we're moving on. So.
But that's what I meant when I said that hiring within, because Tree Living kept Keefe because he's like, well, I got to see what it's like. I just got here. And same with Berube in his press conference.
That was ultimately that was the wrong call with Keith.
It was.
They should have fired him. But
they should have fired him after Montreal.
Yes.
But anyway, and then like Berube being like, well, I had to see for myself how this team operates. And it's like, come on, man.
I know.
Really?
You haven't been paying attention the last.
Then you get into game 7 and you're screaming on the bench to try and wake your team up because you don't know what's happening. It's like
crazy.
Come on. Can we have somebody who knows what's going on?
I know.
All right, man. Put us behind the bench. Anyway, for the Tip In Maple Leafs podcast, we will be back probably after Tree Living, not after Keith Pelle, if they don't talk on the same day.
Yep.
And until next time, I'm Chad.
I'm Dale.
We will.
Yep. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for listening. See you later, Shanny. Good luck on the island. Good luck on the island, brother. Hope it all works out. We'll catch you later.
Yeah. You're listening to the Tip In Maple Leafs podcast with your hosts, Chad and Dale.